finish these two schools in a brief, then I'll move on to Vedantic tradition. That's put together Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. We call it Mimamsa philosophy and Vedanta philosophy. Is that okay, Mamta, Snigdha, and other people? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
in Sankhya philosophy, there are two ultimate realities that we find. One is Purusa, another is Prakriti. Purusa means who is having so much power, who is having force, who is the source of energy. That is Purusa, who has a life. Prakriti means something that doesn't have a life, something cannot move on its own. But Prakriti, being the ultimate reality, it consists of three gunas: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas guna. Sometime back we discussed. Like if you remember, if you are doing certain fasting, some days you will be eating only sattvic food. Suppose you went for a picnic, you are a non-vegetarian, you will be eating only rajasic food or tamasic food. Yes or no? So in food also we have distinction sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Sattvic means the body will be able to digest, you will be able to having good health and so and so. Rajasic means you are working on the in the field or factory or some physical work, you need that food. Tamasic food is that food that after having that you will feel sleepy. Like in Buddhism, if you remember Sunday class, we said drinking toddy is prohibited in Vinaya Pitaka, isn't it? These are part of mostly tamasic food. So therefore, Sankhya philosophers they said, look, Purusa is on the one hand, Prakriti on the other hand. So what is the quality of Purusa? Purusa has a life. And Prakriti, in an analogy form, I can say Purusa is a male, Prakriti is a female. Would that be okay? So Purusha and Prakriti, they never come close together for a product that gets existence on this earth, or to produce an object on this earth. Purusha and Prakriti, they do not come together. So what happens? Prakriti has a three gunas: Sattva, Raja, and Tamas, in a very tranquility and equilibrium platform. So when Purusha can move, Prakriti cannot move on its own, because Prakriti is jada. It just occupies its own space. Okay. So when Purusha move a little, so Prakriti has a quality that it get vibrates. So when Prakriti get vibrates, Sattva, Raja, Tamas, they just mingle with the different proportionate. Are you following me? So you see, Purusha is one ultimate reality, Prakriti is one ultimate reality. So Purusha and Prakriti, they do not integrate or intersect with each other. But when Purusha comes close to the Prakriti, the three gunas of Prakriti get vibrates, and therefore an object is produced with having Sattva, Raja, and Tamas in a different proportionate. Now think of an object, table, chair, and all these things, where you will find Tamas guna dominates the Sattva and Rajas guna. Suppose you are riding bicycle as an action, or you are writing something. Rajas guna is dominating Sattva and Tamas guna. Suppose you are taking rest after so much tired of playing some basketball, volleyball, football, cricket, or whatever may be. So that's a Tamas guna dominates Sattva and Rajas. Now, whenever you just want to survive in a day with some good water, milk, and so, or say few fruits, that is sattvas. In other words, I would say sattva is very transparent, which color is white. Rajat color is red, and tamas color is black. This is how the colors are getting associated with these three gunas. Now, the question is that when an object that has a life that is getting produced on this earth, what happens? You will see that life brings certain element from the Purusa, and these three Sattva, Raja, and Tamas gunas from Prakriti. Because the life would be having body parts, would be having certain entity that would be perishable. So therefore they said when Purusa and Prakriti they come close together, so Prakriti gets vibrates. The three gunas vibrates, and therefore the new object is produced on this earth. So the first production on this earth is known as Mahat. Mahat is a psychological entity, write down. So the first product or the first object that is produced by Sattva and produced by Prakriti and Purusa together is known as Mahat. The second one is called mind. The third one is called ego or arrogance. That's part of self respect. Every life that has some sort of egos. Like when a snake would chase a frog but would not be able to eat it, you see the frustration. Similarly, a tiger chases a deer for his or her meal but could not able to hold that deer. You see the frustrations, isn't it? In this way, every human being or every living creature has an ego. Then you have a karmendriya. There are five karmendriya through which you and me, all of us, we do certain actions. Then Gyanendriya, the sense organs through which we accumulate knowledge. Then five Mahabhutas. Because of five Mahabhutas, we understand different objects are having different natures. And each object is separate from others, or each object is unique in its own nature. Something like that. Okay? So now, therefore, they say only when Purusha and Prakriti they come close together, Prakriti, because of its nature, it vibrates. Sattva, Raja, Tamas have gets into different proportionate, and therefore an object created. If the object doesn't have a life, that means no entity is derived from Purusha. All the entities are borrowed from Prakriti. If that object that has a life, so what it means, a life has a self as well as body parts. So that means some entity from Purusha and Sattva, Raja, Tamas gunas from Prakriti are derived and mingle with the particular production that you see on this earth. Done. That's all about uh, Sankhya philosophy. So Sankhya philosophy says there are two ultimate realities, Purusha and Prakriti. And further they said that there is no such object that exists on this earth that doesn't have Sattva, Raja and Tamas guna. These are very essential concept they said that. And they say when the evolution takes place, one after another objects are created on this earth, and if that object has a life, some entity from the Purusha is derived, and all the entities Sattva, Raja, Tamas are derived from Prakriti. But while having a production, if that object doesn't have a life, that means nothing has borrowed from Purusha, everything is borrowed from Prakriti only. That's all about Sankhya philosophy. Done. Shall I move on next? Now, when we come to
Yes,
Nyaya philosophy, we already discussed. Nyaya philosophy means tarka, logic, justice. ଆମେ ଓଡ଼ିଆରେ ବି ନ୍ୟାୟ କହୁଛେ ୟାକୁ ନ୍ୟାୟ ମିଳିଲାନି କି ତାକୁ ନ୍ୟାୟ ମିଳିଲାନି ନ୍ୟାୟ means ତର୍କ an argument a justice. So now philosophers are the realist philosophers. So they have formulated the techniques to argue something, the techniques to develop tarka. Tarka means argument, huh? Like if you remember, we discussed about the deductive argument, inductive argument. There are difference between deductive and inductive argument. Can you recall it? So all these things discussed by Nyaya schools. Now, therefore, according to Nyaya school, there are four valid methods through which we acquire the valid knowledge. What are these? First one is perception. Second one is inference. The third one is comparison. And the fourth one is called sabda or verbal testimony. We already discussed. Perception means it includes all the sense organs. It is not meant only for this visual sense organs or eyes. Correct, no? If you remember, then we discussed about the nature of inference, how from the premises we derive a conclusion or we infer something, isn't it? If you recall some time back, we discussed crow X is black, crow Y is black, crow Z is black, and therefore, by seeing few evidences together, we can infer that perhaps all crows are black, even though we have not seen all the crows on this earth. Another example we discussed in the class saying that whenever we see fire, we see the smoke. Both are associated with each other, whether it is in kitchen, a lamp, candlelight, so on and so forth. And therefore, if we are seeing somewhere is a smoke, without seeing the fire, we immediately infer that there must be fire in it. Otherwise, smoke will not come from it, isn't it? So this is how the inference. In comparison, if you remember, we were discussing about um, mouse, not computer mouse, rather the mouse, those are eating, say, rice and so on and so forth. Huh? Mouse and squirrel, the comparison that we discussed some time back. So that's also a valid method to acquire the knowledge about worldly affairs. Then sabda, what the book we read, what we hear from the reliable person. So all these things that we discussed, which was proposed by Nyaya schools. Done. So Nyaya contribution is nothing but explaining how these four pramanas or the valid theories or the valid sources that help us to obtain the true knowledge about worldly affairs. Done? Shall I move on next? Now, Nyaya Vaisesika, they constitute a pair. Why? Because when one school discusses the theoretical aspect of the same problem, the another school discusses the practical aspect of it. Like if you closely observe, Sankhya Yoga, they constitute a pair. When Sankhya talks the theoretical aspect of social problems, philosophical problems, and ecological problem, the yoga philosophers that discusses all these problems from practical standpoint. Like if you remember, we discussed about yama, niyama, pranayama, pratyahara, etc., how these are very practical in nature, isn't it? So in this way you will find that Nyaya Vaisheshika, they constitute a pair. So Nyaya deals with theoretically, whereas Vaisheshika deals with practically. This is the differences. Now, according to Vaisheshika, there are many categories through which we identify an object. The first category is known as substance or dravya. Now they have explained it. What is dravya? Can anybody explain what is substance? Suppose you identify your dot pen, your mobile phone, your notebook, your say water bottle, your teacup, your say a dress, your laptop, etc., etc., or maybe a wall clock, something like that. These are the substances that we say that. So what is a substance therefore? So whenever I say a wall clock, a flower pot, these are the name of a substance. Correct? So therefore, philosophers, they are trying to know what is a substance, not the name of the substance. You see the difference? Yeah. So now if you consider, let's say, chair, table, water bottle, everything, so all are substances. The name of the substances. So philosophers are interested to know what is that substance. The very basic and foundation. So that it would be easy for us to explain what are other things that are not substances. Correct, no? So Vaisesika philosophers, they say that substance exists on its own in the first moment of its production. But we identify the substance by knowing its qualities and actions. Is that okay? You want to note down that? You write. You write it first. The substance exists on its own in the first moment of its production. A substance exists on its own in the first moment of its production. Okay. In the next moment, it inheres. Inheres. In the next moment, it inheres certain qualities and actions in it. In the next moment, it inheres or absorbs certain qualities and actions in it. That's called substance. Correct?
So, certain quality.
Qualities and actions in it. Okay? Take a substance like a dot pen, since you are using it. Now you see, you identify your dot pen by knowing its features, its qualities, whether it's red, blue, green, etc., black, etc. The design of the cape, the write up on the pen, and so on and so forth. These are the qualities. Yes or no? Now, when you open it and try to write it, these are the actions that is involved in, isn't it? But now, if you eliminate these qualities and actions, you will find that in the first moment of its production, this should be a substance. That means when the refill is not there, when the cape was not designed, only one aspect was designed, still it is a substance called pain. Yes or no? So therefore, they say qualities and actions, they cannot exist on their own. Suppose green color. Can you think of a green color without associating it with any object? Can you think of a red color without associating it with any object? Is it possible? Even murjo bhi jota tame tulsi chora re pakaucho, that also substance, isn't it? So quality cannot exist without substance. Suppose taste is a quality, hearing is a quality. Okay na? Can you eliminate a substance and still you hear something? Is it possible? Not possible. Can you get a taste like khota laguchi, mitha laguchi, pitta laguchi without a substance? Is it possible? So therefore, Vaisheshikos in those days they say that substance exists on its own in the first moment of its production. In the next moment, it inherits certain qualities and actions in it. The reason behind that qualities and actions they cannot exist on their own. They need substance for their existence. For example, ଘରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ପଙ୍ଖା ବୁଲୁଛି ସବଷ୍ଟାନ୍ସଟା ଘୁରୁଛି ହଁ କି ନା ଯଦି ଫ୍ୟାନ୍ଟା ଖୋଲିଦେବ ଆଉ କିଛି ବୁଲି ପାରିବ କି can you able to see there is a four fan movement without the fan? So fan movement is an action, isn't it? Suppose more fingers ko I'm just say clenching it, look. So if I'm eliminating the substance finger, can I able to clench it? So clenching is an action. Suppose this is the dot pen, I'm taking it up or putting it down. So these are action, upward movement or downward movement. Is it possible without the substance I can move it upward and downward? No. So therefore, qualities and actions, they're also independent category. But these two category, they require a substance for their existence. They cannot exist on their own. Suppose you got a football achi. Once you kick, it moves from one place to another place. So what it means, the actions inheres in that object. If you eliminate that object, will you be able to see that action in it? Certainly not. So in this way, they say substance in the first moment of its production, it exists on its own. The next moment, the very next moment, it inherits the qualities and actions in it. In this way, they have identified substance is an independent category, quality is an independent category, then action is an independent category, then samanya. Samanya means generality. अबिका आम गोटे क्वेश्चन डिस्कशन करवा सपोज मु कहबी कि तमे सकाळे आज लेट्स से कोन खियाई छी दी जण सकाळ कोन खाइछ ममता कोन हि सकाळ खाइबा
ସକାଳେ ଭାତ ଖାଇକି ସ୍କୁଲ ଯାଇଥିଲି।
ओके स्निग्धा कोन रुटी भात कोन
ଦହିବରା
दही बरा अच्छा दही बरा टा गोटे एग्जांपल नबा भात त हम डेली खाउछे नै कि भात भी नहीं परि एग्जांपल लेट्स से दही बरा So here if you consider the Vaisheshika philosophy, they were saying that we identify an object by knowing its the essential features of it, which is not perceivable. Look at what I'm making the statement, try to understand it. Whenever we identify an object, we know that object by knowing its essential feature, which is not perceivable to us. See, for example, dahi bora. So what you see mostly, you see the quality of the curd, the color of the curd, you see the thickness of the curd, you see whether that बड़ाटा फुलिकी रही कि संकुचित होइकी रही कि को रही कि आलुदम जो तापर पड़ी कलरटा केमिति हेछि केते आलू पड़ी कि मटर अछि कि कोन एटसेट्रा इज इट but nevertheless somebody can also design a plastic like bora and put it into curd. You will say that oh that's somehow it's something wrong. It's not dahi bora. Somebody put the plastic fake. Dahi bhaliya dekha jauthibo kintu it can be made out of certain powder, but you will know that oh this is not curd, isn't it? So therefore ame jetale jinsati ko identify korche, let's say dahi bora, we know the essential feature is तर बरा साइज टा छोटो हेतिबो मिडिल हेतिबो बडो हेतिबो कोटा फाटी जाइतिबो but all the cases you say this is a bora okay na because there is an essential entity that you find in all the bora that necessarily defines that some entity is called bora irrespective of its sizes. Similarly, you also know that some liquid is called curd, but even though the thickness differs from bowl to bowl and place to place, correct? So therefore, here Vaisheshika they are saying that it is wrong to say that all the times we identify the accidental features of an object and then it helps us to identify the object. In other words, it is wrong to say that we identify the accidental features of the object and that helps us to identify an object and give a name to that object. That's wrong. Rather, they are proposing that whenever we identify the accidental features of an object, those change from object to object. Those vary from object to object belonging to the same class. They say even though they change, but we identify the essential object, and that essential object, that essential feature of an object help us to identify that object with a particular name. Which Pallavi? So therefore I would say even the irrespective of a bora size, but there is something essentially is embedded in all the bora, even though the sizes are big, small or medium. That necessarily defines, isn't it? There are bora jagra mein singda de debo, but you will say that no, look, that has a different taste. So bora is not equated with singda because there are two different features altogether. Now, what is that make you to think that some object called bada, even though their sizes are different, color is different, everything different? You say, I identified the essence of a bora, and therefore an object that is presented before me is known as bora, nothing like other than that. It's not a mirchi bhaji, it's not singda, it's not anything else. You see that? Similarly, let's say for another example, whenever you see an animal, let's say cow, even though there are small cow, big cow, cow's tails are different, legs are different, colors are different, everything different, but still you see the cowness in the cow, and because of that you identify that animal with cow. Yes or no? So if you eliminate the essential feature of an object, it would not help us to identify that object. Merely by knowing that four legs, one tail, two horns, that necessarily defines a cow, it would not help us really cognize an object as a cow. We may mislead cow as some other animals. Yes or no? So similarly, when you go to the market to purchase, let's say apple, even though you will find there are various qualities of apple, various colors of apple, but you know that appleness that lies in all the apples, even though the colors are different, even though the tastes are different, even though the sizes are different. So therefore, according to Boisesiko, samanya or the generality that necessarily cognized by us, and therefore we identify an object with a particular name. There are green apple dekilo, red apple dekilo, then yellow apple dekilo. So in every time we'll say this is an apple, even though the colors are different. So this green, yellow, and red, these are the accidental features. They may change from object to object belonging to the class of apple. But nevertheless, you, me, and all of us, we identify the essential feature of it so that it helps us to recognize a fruit is known as apple, not like, say, orange or any other name of it. Correct? So this is called samanya. In this way, they say there is another category called abhava. Abhava means non-existence. Only human beings have an ability to identify non-existence of something in a particular space and time. Did you understand what I said? Human beings have only ability and capability to identify non-existence of something in a particular space and time. See, for example, there is no tiger in front of you. So the absence of tiger is cognized by you, correct? There is no black cat in front of you, or there is no parrot in your, say, bookshelf drawer. So the negation of the parrot, that is identified by you, correct? In a given space and time. So therefore, non-existence or identification of non-existence is itself a category that other creatures cannot do that. How you and me we do that? We attribute. What would be the case if there is a parrot would be there in the book rack shelf or in the drawer somewhere, and that you are negating it. First you are asserting it, then you are negating it, and therefore you are identifying the negation of it or non-existence of an object in a particular space and time. Got it? Little difficult, but not really difficult. It's easy. Only thing that you need to read it. Yeah, not that really difficult, but if you have listened to me carefully, you would be able to understand it. You got it, no? What I said, or you want me to repeat it? बुझिला कि नहीं? Mamta, Snigdha, Vishnupriya, Satan, Omyakant, Sudhir. Is that okay for all of you?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Good. So therefore, this is how all about I would say Vaisesika. So Vaisesika, therefore you have everything, whatever you see today in this earth can be divided into certain category. The first category is known as dravya or substance that you, me, and all of us we use. Dravya, quality, action, inherent, samanya, particularity, and last one is non-existence. Non-existence is something is very unique to our knowledge. Suppose you would say, ମୁଁ ଇଥୋପିଆ ବିଷୟରେ ଜାଣେ ନାହିଁ। somebody କହିବେ ଯଦି ଇଥୋପିଆ ବିଷୟରେ ଜାଣିଛୁ ଛଳନାରେ କରି କହୁଛୁ ଜାଣିନୁ ବୋଲି। ଯଦି ଯୋଉ ଜିନିଷ ତୁ ଜାଣିନୁ ସେଟା କେମିତି ନାମଟା ନେଲୁ ଇଥୋପିଆ କେମିତି କହିଲୁ? ହଁ କି ନା? ଲଜିକାଲି ଏରର। ଯଦି ଜଣେ କହିବ ମୁଁ ଆମେରିକା ଜାଣେ ନାହିଁ, এটা କଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଡିକ୍ସନ ଇନ ଟର୍ମସ ହେଲା କି ନାହିଁ? ଯଦି ଆମେରିକା ଜାଣେ ନାହୁଁ ଆମେରିକା ବୋଲି କେମିତି କହିଲୁ? ଅନ୍ୟ କିଛି ବି କହିପାରିଥାନ୍ତୁ। So therefore we have an ability to know the non-existence in a particular space and time, and that helps us to identify a non-existence of an object in a given space and time, that therefore it is an independent category. Further they said time and space, those are not verifiable, they are also independent category. ଧର ତମେ ପଚାରିବ ସ୍ପେସ୍ କେମିତି, ଗୋଟେ ବାକ୍ସରେ ଗୋଟେ ଗୋଟେ ସେ କଣ ତାକୁ କହନ୍ତି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ପାଖକୁ ଯୋଉ ନେଇକି ଯାଆନ୍ତି ତାକୁ କଣ କହନ୍ତି ସବୁ, ଗୋଟେ ଝୁଲାରେ ଯେମିତି ନେଇକି ଯାଆନ୍ତି କଣ ତାକୁ କହନ୍ତି, ଫଳମୂଳ ସବୁ ନେଇକି ଯାଆନ୍ତି, ନଡ଼ିଆ କଦଳୀ, ଚାଙ୍ଗୁଡି, correct? Snigdha, you also call changudi, same thing. In Baleshwar we call it changudi. Mamata may be acquainted with that. So there, Khorda, same thing.
Yes, sir.
ହଁ ଧର ଚାଙ୍ଗୁଡି ହେଲା, ଚାଙ୍ଗୁଡିରେ କିଛି ଫଳମୂଳ ସବୁ ଯୋଉ ସେ କଦଳୀ ପତ୍ର ଏଟସେଟ୍ରା ଏଟସେଟ୍ରା ନେଇକି ଯାଉଛୁ କୋଉଠି? ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ପାଖକୁ ହେଲା। ତ କଥାଟା ଏଇଠି ରହିଲା ଯେ when you are carrying all these things together, you are saying that there is a space inside it and therefore you kept it. Suppose ଘରେ କାହାର ମା କି ଜେଜେମା କହିବେ ନା ଆଉ ଚାରିଟା କଦଳୀ ନେଇଯା ଘରେ ଆମର ପାଚିଛି, ସେ କଦଳୀଟା ଧରିଲେ ସିନା ନେବି, ଏଇଟା କଣ ଝୁଡିରେ ନେଇକି ଯିବି କି? ଚାଙ୍ଗୁଡିରେ ଯେତିକି ଧରିବ ସେତିକି ତ ନେଇକି ଯିବ ନା, ନହେଲେ ଚାଙ୍ଗୁଡିଟା ଭାଙ୍ଗିଯିବ। ହଁ କି ନା? ମୁଁ ତେଣୁ ସେଇଟା ହଉଛି ଚାଙ୍ଗୁଡି ଭିତରେ ଗୋଟେ ସ୍ପେସ୍ ଅଛି, ଜାଣିପାରିଲା ବିକା? ଚାଙ୍ଗୁଡିଟା ଯୋଉଠି ରଖୁଛ ଗୋଟେ ସ୍ପେସ୍ ଉପରେ ରଖୁଛ, ସେଇ ଚାଙ୍ଗୁଡିଟା ଉଠେଇ ନେଇଗଲା ପରେ ଯୋଉ ଜାଗାଟା ଖାଲି ରହିଲା ସେଟା ବି ଗୋଟେ ସ୍ପେସ୍ ଥିଲା, ହଁ କି ନା? So therefore whether you are asserting something in the space or you are eliminating something from the space, you necessarily identifying there is something exist called space, that is eternal space. ହଁ କି ନା? ବୁଝିଲା କି ନାହିଁ? ଗୋଟେ ବିସ୍କୁଟ ବକ୍ସ ନିଅ, ତା ଭିତରେ ସବୁ ବିସ୍କୁଟ ରହିଲା, ଧର ଗୁଡ୍ ଡେ ବିସ୍କୁଟ, କଣ କହୁଛ? ଯୋଉ ଗୋଟେ ବକ୍ସରେ ଯେତିକି ସ୍ପେସ୍ ଥିଲା ସେଇ ସ୍ପେସଟା ଫିଲ୍ ଅପ୍ ହେଇଗଲା, ଆଉ ଜାଗା ନାହିଁ, ହଁ କି ନା? ଧର ସବୁ ବିସ୍କୁଟ ଖୋଲିଦେଲ, କଣ କହୁଛ ତାପରେ? ବକ୍ସଟା ଖାଲି ଅଛି। ଯୋଉ ବକ୍ସଟା ଖାଲି ଅଛି ବୋଲି କହୁଛ, ଏମ୍ପ୍ଟି ବକ୍ସ ବୋଲି କହୁଛ, ତାର ମାନେ ଚାରି କଡିଆ କଭର ହେଇକି ଅଛି, ସେତିକି ଭିତରେ ତା ଭିତରେ ଫାଙ୍କା ଅଛି, ଏହା କହୁଛ। ଯଦି ଚାରିଟା କାର୍ଡବୋର୍ଡ ଯୋଉଥିରେ ବକ୍ସଟା ତିଆରି ସେଗୁଡା ଯଦି ଏଲିମିନେଟ୍ କରିଦବ, ତମେ ଆଉ ଖାଲି ଜାଗାଟା ଜାଣିପାରିବ କି ବକ୍ସଟା ଖାଲି ଅଛି ବୋଲି କହିପାରିବ କି? କହିପାରିବନି। ତେଣୁ ଆମେ ଖାଲି କହିବା କିମ୍ବା ପୂରଣ କରିକି କହିବା କୌଣସି ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷକୁ, it always has a relation with a particular space and a particular time. So in that sense space and time are eternal. For example, ଅବିକା ହେଇଛି ତମ ଘଡ଼ିରେ ଥିବ ପାଞ୍ଚଟା ହେଇଛି, ହଁ କି ନା? ଅବିକା ୟୁଏସ୍ ରେ ଥିଲେ ତମକୁ 4:30 ହେଇଥାନ୍ତା, ସକାଳୁ 4:30 ଶୋଇଥାନ୍ତା ନିଦରେ। So time is there, but you see when it is like sunset time over there, they are going to experience sunshine. You get it? Suppose you go to France, you will be having 9 hours difference. Suppose you go to Canada, you'll have 11 hours 45 minutes difference. If you go to Dubai, you have 6 hours difference something. If you go to Netherlands, you have 7 hours 30 minutes difference something. All right, so time is one, but it has a different zone and different uh, than the numerical time, but time as such is one, that is 24 hours, everybody get it. Got it? So therefore time is an eternal entity, it is a substance, it is not perceivable. So what we are identifying as a time, as a particular moment, what it is about. ଚାରିଟା ହେଇଛି କି ତିନିଟା ହେଇଛି କି ଦିଟା ହେଇଛି କି ପାଞ୍ଚଟା ହେଇଛି କି ଏମିତି। So in this way Vaisheshikas, they said the way dravya, action, quality, samanya, inherence, all these are independent category. Similarly space and time are also to be treated as an independent category. Is that okay? Easy only? Huh? Okay, let's move on to Vedantic traditions. We have one more class left, that's tomorrow, correct? No? All right. So if we read Vedas and part of Mimamsika's philosophy, Mimamsika is nothing but pre-Vedantic traditions, correct? So we'll find that there are 4 stages of consciousness it is mentioned. One is waking consciousness, like now you are looking at the screen, writing something, reading something, looking at the color of the PPT, so on and so forth. Waking experience. Dreaming consciousness, ରାତିରେ ଶୋଇଗଲ ଏବଂ ଯାହା ଚାହୁଁଥିଲ ଦିନରେ ଯୋଉଟା ହେଲାନି ରାତିରେ ସ୍ୱପ୍ନ ଦେଖିଲ, କେତେ ଖୁସିର ଖବର ନୁହେଁ କି? ଧର ଦିନରେ କୌଣସି ଜିନିଷ ଖାଇବା ପାଇଁ ମଗେଇଥାନ୍ତ, ବର୍ଷା ହେଲା ମଗେଇ ପାରିଲାନି, ରାତିରେ ସ୍ୱପ୍ନ ଦେଖୁଛି ତମେ ଖାଉଛ, କେଡ଼େ ଖୁସିର କଥା ନୁହେଁ କି? ସେମିତି କୁଆଡ଼େ ବୁଲିବାକୁ ଯିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଥିଲ, କିଛି କୋଅପରେସନ ମିଳିଲାନି ଘରୁ, ରାତିରେ ସ୍ୱପ୍ନରେ ସେ ଜାଗାରେ ବୁଲୁଛ, କେତେ ଆନନ୍ଦମୟ ସ୍ୱପ୍ନ. That is called dreaming consciousness. And how does it happen? It happens only when you have some informations, the sense organs connect in the daytime, in the waking consciousness time, and these dots are not getting connected through your brain process. So in the night, when all the sense organs are taking rest along with your body parts, along with your brain, only one sense organ that pops up, and that tries to connect all the unconnected dots that you had in the daytime. And therefore sometimes you will be chasing a tiger, in some other occasions tiger will be chasing you. ଗୋଟେ ଜାଗାରେ ଝରଣା ତଳେ ଥିବ, ଝରଣା ଦେଖୁଥିବ, ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଜାଗାରେ ପୁଣି ଗାଡ଼ିରେ କୁଆଡ଼େ ଯାଉଥିବ. So there is no connection at all. Sometimes tiger will be coming to you, sometimes you and tiger will be having tea together, which is quite impossible, illogical dreams. Yes or no? And that's called dreaming consciousness. ପୁଣି କିଛି ଲୋକ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଶୋଇ ଉଠିକି ପୁଣି ଆଉଥରେ ପାଣି ପିଇକି ଶୋଇଲା, ଆଉଥରେ ସେଇ ସ୍ୱପ୍ନକୁ କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ କରିବେ ଫିଲ୍ମ ଭଳିଆ. ସ୍ନିଗ୍ଧା ହସୁଛି, ମାନେ ସିଗ୍ନା ରିଲେଟ୍ କରିପାରୁଛି, ଏମିତି ହେଇଛି କି ସିଗ୍ନା ଆଗରୁ କେବେ ହେଇଛି? ତ ମତେ ଲାଗୁଛି କାହିଁ ହସରୁ ଜଣା ପଡୁଛି ଗୋଟେ କ'ଣ ହେଇଛି ସେମିତି. ଓକେ, dreaming consciousness is all about that. And what kind of dream is that? Suppose ରାତିରେ ଜଣେ ଠିକ ସେ ଶୋଇ ନ ପାରିଲା, that one sense organs trying to connect the unconnected dots. So therefore sometimes you are so much afraid, you wake up, you try to create a sound, even though your vocal cord is proper, you will be knowing that your sound is not coming up. You experience something, ଡରିଗଲ, ଡରିଗଲା ପରେ ଉଠି ପଡ଼ିଲ, ଉଠି ପଡ଼ିଲା ପରେ ତମେ ଚିତ୍କାର କରୁଛ, ବାପା ମମି ଯାହାକୁ ଡାକିବା କଥା ଡାକୁଛ, ପାଟିରୁ ଶବ୍ଦ ବାହାରୁନି, but in your brain it is working that you are creating a sound, but you cannot hear any sound. Did you experience something like that?
So sleep paralysis you are talking about, right?
No, not sleep paralysis, I'm doing dream only. Dream like ଦିନରେ ଯେତିକି ସବୁ ଆମେ ଏକ୍ସପିରିଏନ୍ସ ହେଲା ସେନ୍ସ ଅର୍ଗାନ୍ସ ଦ୍ୱାରା ସବୁଗୁଡ଼ିକ କନେକ୍ଟ ହେଇଗଲା, କିଛି ଡଟ୍ ରହିଗଲା ଅନକନେକ୍ଟେଡ, କୌଣସି ବାଟି ତାକୁ କନେକ୍ଟ କରି ଗୋଟେ ପିକ୍ଚର ବ୍ରେନ୍ କରିପାରିଲାନି. ରାତିରେ କ'ଣ ହେଇଛି, ସବୁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସବୁ ସେନ୍ସ ଅର୍ଗାନ୍ସ ଶୋଇଗଲେ, ଟାୟାର୍ଡ ହେଇକି ବଡି ରେଷ୍ଟ ନେଇଗଲା, ବ୍ରେନ୍ ରେଷ୍ଟ ନେଲା, ସେତେବେଳେ ଇନ୍ ଏ ସବକନସିୟସ୍ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍, we are not alert. In subconscious state, one sense organ pops up and connect to the thalamus of the brain. So thalamus wanted to connect all the unconnected dot, and therefore other sense organs would not be able to receive the information immediately, and hence there is no coordination between brain and the sense organs properly, and that resulted some kind of awkward dream, some kind of illogical dreams, so on and so forth. ବୁଝିହେଲା? କିଛି ଲୋକ ଯଦି ସେଇ ଡ୍ରିମ୍ଟାକୁ ସକାଳେ ମନେ ପକେଇକି ସାଙ୍ଗକୁ କହିଲେ, ସେଥିରେ କିଛି ଆଡ୍ ନ କରିକି, ମସଲା ଫସଲା ଆଡ୍ କରିକି ଯଦି ନ କହିଲେ ଏଣ୍ଟରଟେନମେଣ୍ଟ ପାଇଁ, ଜାଣିବ ଯେ in that time the two sense organs were connected to that unconnected dots. ଯଦି ସେମାନେ ସକାଳେ ମନେ ନ ପକେଇ ପାରିଲେ କ'ଣ ସ୍ୱପ୍ନ ଦେଖିଛନ୍ତି ବୋଲି, it necessarily presupposes that only one sense organs that was connected to the unconnected dot. ବୁଝିହେଲା? If there are more than one sense organs operate while connecting the dot in when you are in subconscious state, then morning you will be able to narrate what is the dream that you had. In many occasions you are trying to recall it, but you may not get what exactly dream you had. Sometimes you might have experienced, isn't it? In some occasion you will feel very happy to share your dream to your friends, family members or neighbors and so forth, isn't it? If something is very beautiful, let's say somebody invited you in the dream to go to the mango orchard. You can see varieties of mango. Some mangoes are red in color, some mangoes are yellow and green in color, some mangoes are yellow and red in color, some mangoes are pink in color. So you are so mesmerized by seeing. So only green leaves are less, and all the mangoes are hanging from this trees, and all the trees are of your height. You can touch all the mangoes through your fingers, and when you touch the mangoes in your fingers, they'll be shaking hither and thither. So all the experience you are seeing in the night, it's a beautiful. It's a very beautiful. Yeah. So morning you woke up, but you are not able to recall what are the shapes and sizes of mango that you had seen in the night, merely because only one sense organs were operating. If you could able to exactly tell what is the thickness of the mango tree, what are the thickness of the branches, how many mangoes that you have seen in each and every plant, then you would be able to recollect that one correctly. And that time two sense organs were connected. Done. That was explained in Vedantic traditions. The next one is called sleeping consciousness. In there are many occasions we are so tired, we slept in such a manner that we do not know what happened near to us. So tired. And morning when we woke up, somebody told us that, look, जो खटियारे ଶୋଇଥିଲ ଆମେ ତାକୁ ଘୁଞ୍ଚେଇକି ସେଠି ଆଉ ଜଣେ କିଏ ଶୋଇଥିଲା ତାକୁ ଆମେ ସାଇଡ୍ କରିଦେଇଥିଲୁ ତମେ କହ ଏମିତି କ'ଣ କଲ କି ସେ କହ ହଁ କରିଥିଲୁ ନା जो कमलटी तुम घोड़ी शोला से खोलिक आम अन्न कमलटी तुमको देलु तुम कमलटी आम नहीं जाइछु you heard something like that say the pillow that you have used we have taken it and given another pillow then that person said that oh no I didn't know anything I was so tired all my sense organs were taking rest along with the brain and thalamus so I was almost in a subconscious state I didn't know anything that means no sense organs was prompted when things were happening surrounding. So that's called sleeping consciousness, a consciousness that you realize only when you wake up in the next day morning, saying that yesterday night I did not have any experience about anything on this earth. So there is no such dream. It was a good sleep. And most of the doctors, they prescribe that you must go to the third level that's called sleeping consciousness. You should sleep in such a manner that there should not be any disturbances. Or imagine a situation a person is waking up 5 times, 6 times in a night. So all this sleeping gets disorder, and morning that spills over, and he or she suffers a lot. Correct, no? So therefore, sleeping consciousness plays a very, very important role in human life with regard to retaining certain memory for a long time, with regard to attention span to a particular issue or an object for a longer time. Therefore, sleeping consciousness is very important for human life and others' life as well. Then the next stage of consciousness is known as transcendental consciousness. A consciousness is realized by the individual alone. ତମେ ଯୋଉ ଠାକୁରକୁ ଭକ୍ତି କରୁଥିବ ଯୋଉ ଠାକୁରକୁ ମାନୁଥିବ ସେଇ ଠାକୁର ମନ୍ଦିର ଗଲେ ଗୋଟେ ସମର୍ପଣ ଆସିଲେ ଯୋଉ ଭଳିଆ ତମ ଦେହରେ ଏକ ଶିହରଣ ଖେଳି ଯାଉଛି ସେଟା କେବଳ an individual experience that you get it, nobody else. Suppose you were taken to say Netherlands or Holland, then somebody tells you that look, you can see now tulip plants, tulip flower you have seen. So the mesmerizing experience that you get it and the weather condition that helps you to get some kind of a kind of unforgettable experience, and that's called transcendental consciousness. Even though you and me we live in the material world, but a different conscious experience you get it which is very unique to you. That's called transcendental consciousness, turiya, a consciousness, an experience that cannot be spoken through the words. बेले बेले आमे कहूने काश्मीर जाइथिलु and the way we have shown the snowfall that was so mesmerizing that it is cannot be explained through words and language. It is beyond this. That means your experience cannot be equated with the vocabulary that you possess to convey your thoughts and ideas. Correct, no? In this way, we say the way we surrender to the Almighty, the devotion that we have Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga that you put together, the way through knowledge we surrender ourselves to the Almighty for the unseen force, we connect ourself, the material self or the empirical self is getting connected to the Brahman. In this way, they say anybody who connects ourself to the Brahman or the unseen force, he or she would be able to experience known as transcendental consciousness. It's not easy for each and everybody to experience that. Is that okay? So, therefore, I would say, in case of waking consciousness, dreaming consciousness, and sleeping consciousness, our body, sense organs, and brain are involved. But in case of transcendental consciousness, neither body nor sense organs nor say physical part are involved. It's all together surrendering yourself and connecting to the supernatural entity and unseen force which created the universe for a purpose. Done. So mostly you will see in Advaita Vedanta they say this is Brahman. You see the middle one color. This is just for your understanding. There is no such picture that you'll find in any of the book available as of today. This is for your understanding only. Brahman is the root, is the base, is the foundation. So based on that, you see there is a kind of look like yellow color but not yellow color. Yellow and orange, something like mixing it, isn't it? So what it means, all the objects that you see, these are all the big circle of the cosmos or the universe. And when the life goes out from the body, then it again goes back to the Brahman. You see that? So when a life is created, Brahman has created some life. Then you will say Atman 1, 2, 3, self 1, 2, 3, all these things. Birds, creatures, amoeba, reptiles, human beings, other things, so on and so forth. We have a life. That's Atman 1, Atman 2, because we have a self. But once the self detached from the body parts, you would be able to see that it enters into the Brahman. So Brahman remains in this color. It looks like red, but it's not red. It's very pure. So it's a mix of Sat, Chit, and Anand. It is like this. You see, because of the white color in between. Can you see the candlelight from your side? Yeah, because of the white color in the middle, you can able to see the yellow color, you can able to see the red color, you can able to see some kind of brown color, and you can also able to see the dark pitch black color. Yes or no? So therefore white color is the Brahman. If white color is not there, if the candle is not lit, you will not be able to see all the colors. So what it says, saying that all the human beings, other creatures on this earth are possible only when Brahman is possible. If Brahman existence is ruled out, nothing would be possible on this earth. Similarly, if the candle is not lit, you will not be able to see so many colors surrounded to it. And the same time, you will not be able to see so many objects near to the candle. If the candle is dozed off, you'll see the pitch dark. You'll not be able to identify an object near to that. But just because the candle is lit, you'll be able to experience so many color. You'll be able to experience about the objects those are surrounded near to the candlelight. So therefore, this white is the Brahman. And whenever you look at the white, since it's picture you can look at, but you just try to lit the candle, you'll not be able to concentrate on the white, because white you'll not be able to look at it. And Brahman is some power that we cannot able to directly experience Brahman. This is how it's about the explanation. Is that okay? Can you able to see the sun directly? Yeah, can you see that? No, your eyes will blink, isn't it? Because that ultra rays and other rays. Similarly, here the analogy is given that if the Brahman is the white light, all the living creatures that you, me, and all of us are mostly surrounded to here. Shall I move on next? These are guys references, so which you may not need it if you will be doing research and so on and so forth, that is required. But since you are not doing research, you are just post graduation, that you leave it. That means there is a book written by Sankaracharya in 2002, that is 1972. Some scholars has written a book 2020. So this is a reference, correct? So you don't really require all these things. But the last point I can read for you. last to last point, according to Shankaracharya, consciousness is identified with self, which is one and non-dual. Because once the self goes out from the body, it enters into the Brahman. So Brahman is the only truth. There is no second truth. Got it? So therefore, how shall we explain the concept of Brahman? Brahman consists of Sat, Chit, and Anand. You will be listening these things from various sources. What is Sat? Sat means real. In today time, nothing is real. Neither you are real nor I am real. Nothing is real. Everything is adulterated. Even the small baby is coming to the earth through cesarean process. That means, given a chance, a mother can able to hold at least few hours, few days. Yes or no? So many babies are coming out to the earth with having less kilograms, and therefore we are putting them in certain kind of blue ray so that they should not get into jaundice and something else. Yes or no? Mamta, Snigdha, nursing home, they do that, something like that. Can you relate it? What I'm saying? Yeah. This is very common. It's nothing to do with science. It's just very common. Yeah. Some kgs this baby should have it. Otherwise, it will say premature baby, something like that. This is very common. It has nothing to do with the discipline and knowledge. Huh? All right. So now, therefore, we are thinking of something which is sat, which is very real. ଆଜିକା ତାରିଖରେ କୌଣସି ବି ଜୁସ୍ ଦୋକାନରେ ଯାଇକି ଜୁସ୍ କିଣିକି ପିଅ, ସେଥିରେ ସବୁ କିଛି ମିଶାମିଶି ହେଇଥିବ। କୌଣସି ପାଣି ବି ପିଅ, you will not get good drinking water. କୌଣସି ବୋତଲ ପାଣି ପିଅ, ସେଥିରେ ସବୁ ଭେଜାଲ ଅଛି। କୌଣସି ଜିନିଷ କିଣିକି ଖାଅ ଭେଜାଲ, କୌଣସି ପନିପରିବା ବି ଚାଷ କର ଭେଜାଲ, because everything is coming as from unreality, something that is mixed up. So but here Brahman is real. Brahman is pure consciousness. Suppose you realize your consciousness, how much attentive you are when you are doing certain works, when you are watching a movie, how much attentive you are. But here pure consciousness means all the consciousness. If you see across the globe, not just India alone, across the globe, so many creatures, living creatures, so many birds, animals, reptiles, human beings, so on and so forth. All the consciousness put together, Brahman is having much more than that consciousness. Therefore, Brahman is pure consciousness. Bliss means Anand. ଆମେ ଧର ଯିଏ ଭୋକିଲା ଅଛି, ତାକୁ କ'ଣ ଟିକେ ଖାଇବାକୁ ମିଳିଲା, ଶାନ୍ତି ମିଳିବ କି ନାହିଁ? ଖରାଦିନେ ତମକୁ କିଏ ଗୋଟେ ଲସି ଦେଲା, ଲସି ଉପରେ କ'ଣ ନଡ଼ିଆ କୋରା ଫଡ଼ିଆ କୋରା ପକେଇ ସବୁ ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱରରେ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି, ମୁଁ ଶୁଣିଲି। Snigdha is smiling. I could see that she might have visited that place with some chocolate, ନଡ଼ିଆ କୋରା ଏସବୁ etc. ହଁ କି ନା? ବନଭିଟା ଫନଭିଟା ସବୁ ପକେଇକି ସବୁ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି। ଲୋକ ପୁରା ଲମ୍ବା ଲାଇନରେ ଭିଡ଼, 40ରେ ନେବ, 50ରେ ନେବ, 60ରେ ନେବ, ଏମିତି କ'ଣ ସବୁ ଶୁଣୁଥିଲି। ହଁ କି ନା? ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱରରେ ଖରା ଦିନେ। So afternoons, evening, it's too crowd over there because they want to taste that. That's a good in summertime, but not in winter time, isn't it? So once somebody have that in summer, peak summer, and get some satisfaction, that is ananda. Yes or no? You get some ananda. Suppose morning time you went to a temple, and the priest took all your fruits and say garland and prayed and offered to the gods or goddesses that you like. You'll feel very happy. You feel anand about it. Yes or no? So that a contentness, you get it. But all the people having different contentness, including animal, birds, the Brahman is possessing. You see that how Brahman great is. So therefore Brahman consists of Sat, Chit, and Anand. Nobody else can have that, and because of that Brahman can create the universe in its own way. Is that okay? So therefore we'll say there are two consciousness. One is empirical consciousness that you, me, and all of us we experience. କାହା ଘର ଦ୍ୱାରା କୁକୁର ଥିବ କି ବିଲେଇ ଥିବ, ପାରା ଥିବ କି ସେ ଅନ୍ୟ କୋଉ ଶୁଆ ସାରି ଥିବେ, they also understand the consciousness, right? But beyond that, there is another consciousness known as transcendental consciousness, which controls all the conscious creatures that we experience in our day-to-day life, right? So in this way, I would say empirical consciousness, which you and me and all of us we possess, plus ignorance, we'll be able to experience the world, because we can't possess unlimited knowledge. We'll be possessing only limited knowledge, correct? Then if there is an empirical consciousness that we have, and that is dissociated from avidya, means ignorance, we get a Brahman knowledge. That means the pure consciousness is realized. Many people go in the evening to do some kind of, say, asana, pranayama, tapasya, dhyana, and so and so. How many of you have come to Pondicherry, Srima Aravind Ashram, where you can sit and concentrate? There won't be anybody came to Pondicherry. Srima Aravind Ashram is very famous for that, to realize the transcendental consciousness and sit in a tranquility positions. So you have to come one day in advance, book the ticket, and should be on times, etc., blah blah. All right. So there are many other places, even Tibet, Meghalaya, and all the places where Buddhist people were practicing. There's a consciousness. Even if you go to Mumbai, you will find some Parsis also. They believe in that. You cannot have it sound or anything inside. You have to put something on your mouth and nose. I'm not talking about corona or another disease. Before corona also they have to put it. Why? Because the silence is itself a sound that helps you to realize the true nature of consciousness and self. Got it? Okay, now all of you, Sudhir, Amyakant, Vishnu Priya, all okay?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So now, therefore, this is my last slide to tell you that Brahman, when you talk about Brahman, it is associated with Maya. Maya means magic. Brahman wants to create this objects on the universe. So endowed with the Maya, creates it. Once that object is created, then again goes back to original position. So Brahman remains as it is with pure consciousness. So Maya means magic, you know. Adhyasa means the whole world is an illusion. See that today with whom you are related, tomorrow will you be able to relate in the same way? जहाँ घरे more than दुई भाई की दुई भौणी की तीन भौणी के ता ऊपर को अच्छंती. After marriage, are you going to have the similar relationship the way you were going together to the school and so forth? Possible? Everything is changing, right? The life itself is changing. So, gotiye chua tara thibe parents, they will be loving so much. Then you get this love becomes sad if more than one child. Yes or no? Whatever you like today, you may not like tomorrow. So the whole world is an illusion. ଆଜି ଯିଏ ପାଖରେ ଥିବ କାଲିକି ସିଏ ରହିବ ବୋଲି କିଛି ମାନେ ନାହିଁ. ସ୍ୱାର୍ଥରେ ସମସ୍ତେ ବନ୍ଧା. ହଁ କି ନା? That time, Shankaracharya, Vallabhacharya, Madhavacharya, Ramanuja, they said the whole world is an illusion. କହିବ ଯେ ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ପଲିଟିସିଆନ ହେଇଯିବି, ଏତେ ପଇସା ରୋଜଗାର କରିଦେବି, 200 କରୋଡ଼ ଟଙ୍କା ଆଲମାରୀରେ ରଖିବି, ଏଟସେଟ୍ରା ହବ କ'ଣ? At the end you will be dying. That is truth. କୋଉଠି ମରିବ ସେଇଟା ତ ଅଲଗା କଥା. ରାସ୍ତାରେ ଚାଲୁ ଚାଲୁ ପିମ୍ପୁଡ଼ି କାମୁଡ଼ି ଦେବ କି ଟ୍ରେନ୍ ଆକ୍ସିଡେଣ୍ଟ ଯେମିତି ବାଲେଶ୍ୱର ହେଲା, କିଏ କ'ଣ ଜାଣିଥିଲା କି ବାଲେଶ୍ୱର ଛାଡ଼ିଲା ପରେ କରମଣ୍ଡଳ ସେଇଠି ଆକ୍ସିଡେଣ୍ଟ ହବ ଆଉ ପିପୁଲ ୱିଲ୍ ଲୁଜ୍ ଦେୟାର ଲାଇଫ୍? କିଏ ଜାଣିଛନ୍ତି? So the life is not certain in that sense. Yes or no? ବାଲେଶ୍ୱର ଆକ୍ସିଡେଣ୍ଟରେ କେତେ ଲୋକ କେତେ ନିଜର ଲୋକକୁ ହରାଇ ବସିଲେ, କେତେ ଘର ଲୋକକୁ ହରାଇ ବସିଲେ, କେତେ ଦୁଃଖ ଜୀବନ ସବୁ ବିତିଲା. ହଁ କି ନା? So therefore, having greed for earning so much wealth, having greed for so much worldly position, what will do? At the end, the life tells you that death is inevitable. ଜଣେ ଯଦି ଭଲ ରହିଲା ଅକସ୍ମାତ ମରିଗଲା, ଯଦି ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ରୋଗ ହେଲା ଲାଇକ୍ ଡାଇବେଟିସ୍, ବିପି, ମରିଲା ବେଳକୁ ଆହୁରି ହୀନଚ୍ଛନ୍ନ ହେଇକି ମରିବ. Because you will be losing your sense organs. You cannot do your work on its own. କେହି କାହାରି ନୁହନ୍ତି. 10 ଦିନ ଟ୍ରିଟମେଣ୍ଟ କଲା ପରେ 11 ଦିନକୁ ସମସ୍ତେ ଅନ୍ୟ ରକମର ଇମ୍ପ୍ରେସନ ଆଣିବେ. ହଁ କି ନା? So therefore, in those days they say, ଆଜିକା ତାରିଖରେ ଯିଏ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ବାବୁ ସୋନା, କାଲିକି ବାବୁ ସୋନା ନୁହଁ. You understand it? So therefore, neither parents nor kids nor relatives nor anybody on this earth, ଆଜି ଯାହାକୁ ପାଳିଛ, କୁକୁର ହଉ, ପଶୁ ହଉ, ପକ୍ଷୀ ହଉ, ଯାହାକୁ ପେଟ୍ କରିଛ, କାଲିକି ସେ ସେଇଭଳିଆ ବିହେଭ୍ କରିବ ବୋଲି କିଛି ମାନେ ନାହିଁ. କି ଯିଏ ପାଳିଛି ସେ ସେଇ କୁକୁର ବିଲେଇ ସହିତ ସେଇଭଳିଆ ବିହେଭ୍ କରିବ ବୋଲି କିଛି ମାନେ ନାହିଁ. ହଁ କି ନା? କେତେ ଲୋକ ଛେଳି ମାନଙ୍କୁ ସବୁ, ଛେଳି ଗୋରୁ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ସବୁ ପାଳନ୍ତି ଘରେ, ଦେଖିଛ କି ନାହିଁ? ସବୁ ନାଁ ଦେଇଥାନ୍ତି. ଯେତେବେଳେ ପଇସା ଦରକାର ପଡ଼ିବ ସେଇ ଛେଳିକୁ ବି ମଧ୍ୟ ବିକିବାକୁ ସେମାନେ ବାଧ୍ୟ ହୁଅନ୍ତି, ସେଇ କୁକୁଡ଼ାକୁ ବିକିବାକୁ ବାଧ୍ୟ ହୁଅନ୍ତି. ହଁ କି ନା? So therefore, there is nothing permanent on this earth. Everything is an illusion. It's just we are ignorant to understand that we need so much wealth, so many cars, so many positions. What you will do at the end? ମୁଁ ସଦାବେଳେ ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟ ମାନଙ୍କୁ କୁହେ, ଧର ତମ ପାଖରେ 10,000 ଟଙ୍କା ଅବିକା ଫେଲୋସିପ୍ ପାଉଛନ୍ତି, ମୋର PhD ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟ, ଲେଟ୍ସ ସେ 42,000, without paying any tax, everything is taken care of it. You are leading a luxury life. So financial constraint is not there. hostel life is good, so now you should concentrate on studies. Okay na? Because once this life passes away, you will not able to have this PhD experience. You will be getting elder and elder. You will be having competition for getting job and so on and so forth. Okay na? So therefore, every moment is precious. At the same time, we need to realize that the whole world is an illusion. ଜଣେ ଭାବିବନି ଯେ ମୁଁ CEO of the company ହେଇଗଲି, ହେଲା କ'ଣ ସେଉଠୁ? ଜଣେ କହିଲା ମୁଁ ପୋଲିସ ଚାକିରି କରିଛି, ନା ହେଲା କ'ଣ ସେଉଠୁ? କାଲିକି ତ ରିଟାୟାର ହବ, ରିଟାୟାର ହେଲେ ହୋମଗାର୍ଡ ବି ସାଲ୍ୟୁଟ ମାରିବନି, ହଁ କି ନା? ଯଦି କାହାକୁ ଗାଳି ଗୁଲଜ କରିଥିବ, ହଁ କି ନା? ଧର ଜଣେ କହିବ I want to become IAS, so what? You will be retiring someday, no? You will be also requesting some clerk for a pension, ହଁ କି ନା? ସିଏ ତମକୁ ଦୌଡ଼ା କରେଇବ 10 ଦିନ ଯଦି ତମେ ସେରକମ କାଣ୍ଡ କରିଥିବ। ଯଦି ଭଲ ମଣିଷଟି ହେଇଥିବ, then everybody will start loving you, and that's the memory. So therefore, what we are, we should be happy with that. We should not change behind so much power, position, so and so. କହିବେ ତାଙ୍କ ଘର ତାଙ୍କର ଝିଅଟି ସ୍କୁଟି କିଣିଛି ଆଉ ଆମର ଗୋଟେ ନହେଲେ କେମିତି ହବ କି? ହୁଏ କି ନାହିଁ ସେମିତି? ତାଙ୍କ ଘର ପିଲା ସେଇ ଜାଗାକୁ ଟ୍ୟୁସନ ଯାଉଛି, କୋଚିଂ ଯାଉଛି, ଆମର ଖାଲି ଖାଲି ପଢିଲେ କ'ଣ ପାଠ ହବ? କୋଚିଂ ଯିବା ଦରକାର ନା। ମାନେ କୋଚିଂ ଗଲେ ପାଠ ହବ ସେ କିଛି ନୁହେଁ, ତାଙ୍କ ଘର କାହିଁକି ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଆମ ଘରେ ଯିବେ, ନହେଲେ ସେ ପାଠ ହେଇପାରିବନି। ପାଠଟା ହବା ପାଇଁ କୋଚିଂ ହିଁ ଦରକାର, କାରଣ ଅଲରେଡି ଜଣଙ୍କ ଘରେ ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି। ଦିଜ୍ ଆର୍ ପାର୍ଟ ଅଫ୍ ଇଲ୍ୟୁଜନ। ହଉଛି କି ନାହିଁ? ଧର ପୁଅ ଝିଅ କିଏ ସାଇନ୍ସ ପଢିବ, କିଏ ଆର୍ଟ୍ସ ପଢିବ, କାହା ପାଖରେ କୋଉ ଆବିଲିଟି ରହିଛି, ସେଇମାନଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ୟୁନିକ୍ ଆବିଲିଟି ରହିଛି, ହଁ କି ନା? ସେଇଟା ନ ଜାଣିକି ଆମେ ତାକୁ କହିବା ପଡ଼ୋଶୀ ଲୋକ ଆମର ବନ୍ଧୁବାନ୍ଧବ ସବୁ ସାଇନ୍ସ ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରିଂ ପଢୁଛନ୍ତି, ଆଉ ତମେ ଆର୍ଟ୍ସ ପଢିଲେ ହବ କି, କମର୍ସ ପଢିଲେ ହବ କି? ଯେମିତି ହେଲେ ବି କ'ଣ ଗୋଟେ କରିକି ସାଇନ୍ସ ଫାଇନ୍ସ କରିବ ନା। ସେ ପିଲା ଯୋଉ ସାଇନ୍ସ ପଢିଲା, ଆର୍ଟ୍ସ ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରିଂ ପଢିଲା, ନା ତାର ନିଜର ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଅଛି, ନା ଯୋଉମାନେ 98% ରଖିଛନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କ ସହିତ ସେ କମ୍ପିଟ୍ କରିପାରିବ କି? ଖାଲି ଆମର ମିଛର ଇଚ୍ଛା ପାଇଁ, ଇଗ୍ନୋରାନ୍ସ ପାଇଁ ସେ ପିଲାର ଟୋଟାଲି ଭବିଷ୍ୟତଟା ବର୍ବାଦ ହେଇଗଲା, ହଁ କି ନା? ତ ଗାଁରେ କହିବେ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ ହେଲେ କ'ଣ ହେଲା, ଗୋଟେ ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରିଂ କଲେଜରେ ପଢିଲେ ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରିଂ ହବ ନା। ତାପରେ ଦେଖିବ ସେଇ ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟର ଜୁସ୍ ଦୋକାନ ଖୋଲିକି ଜୁସ୍ ବିକ୍ରି କରୁଥିବ, କାରଣ ଗ୍ରାଇଣ୍ଡିଂ ଇଜ ଇଟସେଲ୍ଫ ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରିଂ। ବୁଝିଲେ କି ନାହିଁ? ତ ତେଣୁ ଯାହାର ଯୋଉଟା ଆବିଲିଟି ରହିଛି, ଯୋଉଟା ସ୍କିଲ୍ ରହିଛି, ଗୋଟେ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ରହିଛି, that should be considered first, so that that person can do well in that field, instead of comparing, instead of doing something in an ignorant basis. In all these examples that you find in those days, people mention, see, in Vedantic period, long years back, people were also behaving in more or less similar way, and therefore whatever we learn today, it has a direct relevance even for contemporary society. So therefore I'm summing up that we have learned few things, that the whole world is an illusion. Therefore we should not be so much passionate to earn so much money. We need to earn money for our survival, but should not be passionate. Once you are so much cravings for that money or power, then we'll be doing some unethical action that lead to unrest of life. So with this, I end my session today, unless you have questions. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I hope I have covered Mimamsa, Vedantic, Nyaya, and Vaisheshika, the essence of the schools. Any questions, guys? No? Okay, Snigdha said no. Sudhir said no. Mamta, do you have any questions? Satan?
No, sir.
All right, so take care and see you tomorrow for the last class. After that, I'll say goodbye to all of you. All right, so take care and happy stay. See you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.